Hi, everyone. So I missed my Sunday night class and I'm missing my Monday night class because I have a conflict with my kids' school. And I'm missing my Thursday class because I'm going out of town. So I decided to record for you a little video with a little Torah thought, and hopefully that will give you guys a little taste of mussar, even if you're not getting a whole class. So on Sunday, which was yesterday, I taught a class to the high school kids of JFX, and we were talking about the verse in Pirkei Avos, which says, "Who is strong? He who can conquer himself." Or specifically, it says, "Hakovesh et Yitzro," he who can conquer his Yetzer Hara. So what is Yetzer Hara? Yetzer Hara is your evil inclination. It's interesting that it says Hakovesh et Yitzro, somebody who can conquer his own Yetzer Hara. So we don't all have the same Yetzer Hara. Everybody has a different Yetzer Hara. Some people are very tempted by one thing, some people are very tempted by another thing, and everybody's got their own demons to slay, their own dragons to slay. But what everything has in common is that there's a certain degree of self-control that is necessary to conquer your Yetzer Hara, and that degree, that strength, that self-control is far more strong and valuable than controlling somebody else. So I shared with the kids that there's a very interesting TED Talk by Dan Ariely, who happens to be an Israeli guy, and he shares that he at one point had a liver disease, and he was put on this trial whereby if he would inject himself with this certain medication 3 times a week for a year and a half, he could forestall liver disease for the rest of his life. But he wouldn't actually feel that benefit for like another 30 years. Whereas in the moment, the injection of that medication would give him immediate negative side effects. So he would definitely get sick, fever, nausea, throwing up that night. And he shares that he, of course, chose it because if you were offered, to do that and the stakes were so great, then how could you say no to that? So he goes ahead and he gives himself this injection 3 times a week. He prepares a blanket and a bucket for the inevitable side effects. And at the end of the year and a half, the guy tells him that of everybody in this trial, he is the only one who has successfully completed the round of treatment. And so he examines, like, why is this? What is it that made him be successful and other people not be successful? So he shares, and this is obviously going back a while, that on the days that he considered treatment days, he would rent a movie or a few movies, and as he was giving himself the injection, he would carry around these videos in his backpack all day, so in anticipation of watching them, and then he would go ahead and give himself this injection, and he would watch the movies all night. So he sort of played this psychological trick on himself where he would reward himself for his self-control. Now, the definition of self-control is making myself do something unpleasant right now for a long-term benefit, which is actually, besides for being the definition of self-control, is also probably the definition of maturity. We had this interesting conversation one time around our Shabbos table Friday night, and my husband asked, if you would win the lottery, what would you do with it? So half the people at the table said an answer that meant paying off debt. Some people said, I would pay off my house, I would pay off my student loans, and we said those were the adults. And then there were the people who talked about how they would spend that money immediately. Those were the children. So putting money away for later, that is a mature choice. Blowing it all right now, that is an immature choice. Saying something right now that feels really good and really tempting, that will ruin or damage relationships later, is immature. Controlling those words, controlling those emotions for long-term gain, that's maturity. So it is the definition of self-control, which is the definition of maturity. Yet, many people cannot do this. So I'll bring the marshmallow test. So these kids were given these marshmallows, and they were told that if they don't eat the marshmallow for 15 minutes or something like that, then they would get 2 marshmallows. So you watch these children grappling with this huge self-control dilemma about they're not going to eat the marshmallow. And some of them are like going crazy and they're climbing on the table and they're taking bites out of it, and maybe little bites so that they won't show. But very few children are actually able to restrain themselves from eating the marshmallow, even though they know that in 15 minutes their patience and their self-control and their inner strength will have a huge payoff in their own currency. So this Dan Ariely asks the audience, if I would offer you a half a box of chocolate right now, and he's like, imagine I would pass around the box of chocolates for you to see and smell, and I would say to you, you can either have half a box of chocolates now, or you can have a whole box of chocolates in a week, right? So almost everybody would choose the half box of chocolate right now than the full box in a week. But if he said, let's say I asked you, in a year, would you like to have half a box of chocolate in a year or a whole box of chocolate in a year and a week? And of course, everybody said a whole box of chocolate in a year and a week. Why? Because it's the power of now. Right now, in this moment, I am in the grips of temptation, and overcoming that emotion with the knowledge that there's a better choice, that takes strength. My desire for chocolates in a year doesn't matter to me. It doesn't speak to me because I'm not in the grips of it right now. So one of the ways that we could use better self-control, and then like I said in the beginning, everybody has a different Yetzer Hara. For some people, it's a negative physical habit. It could be poor eating habits. It could be poor money spending habits. It could be poor relationship habits. It could be cleanliness habits. It could be texting and driving, or going to bed too late, or sleeping in too late. So what do we have to do? We have to reward ourselves in the moment. So for example, I know a group of friends that all of them want to remember to say their prayers in the morning, but other things come up. You've got your emails to check, you've got your kids, you've got your breakfast, you've got your appointments, and it can get delayed until it never happens. So they have a texting group, and they text each other with their successes, and they get lots of immediate rewards. They feel good, they get support, they get compliments, they feel great about themselves. So they're rewarding themselves in the moment, just as Dan Ariely did with his videos, for doing the right thing. But we also have to punish ourselves. So he shared on the TED Talk that there's this alarm clock that every time you hit snooze, it debits money out of your bank account. And if you really want it to work, you should have it debit money out of your bank account to a charity or a cause that you really, really disagree with, or like the opposite political party. And this is a very strong negative impetus to do the right thing. There are people who have programs, software established on their computer where a list of the websites they visit gets emailed to somebody that they pre-designate, and that this is like they are shaming themselves essentially into doing the right thing. So I would challenge every person watching this to identify what is your Yetzer Hara. What is your thing that you indulge in and then feel gross about it afterwards? And you know, it's just a matter of strength. It's just a matter of maturity. You know you should do it. You feel bad if you don't do it or if you indulge in it. And it's something you really want to improve. Maybe it's a New Year's resolution. And then you got to figure out a way to reward yourself when you do right and a way to punish yourself when you mess up. Good luck.